Peace and welcome to another series, another episode of Black Fertility. And this series is called Breaking the Spell of Black Infertility. So I want to tell you about a little experience of mine, another one. And I noticed that y'all really like these stories, so I wanted to tell you another one. So this one is about my experience with wanting to have sex but not wanting to have a baby, right? There was a time when basically I wanted, I enjoyed sex. I wanted to have sex. It was a very big part of my thinking, my mental space. It basically had taken over my meditations during the day. I thought about the different type of sex positions. I thought about the different moods and emotions and sensations. And I was just in a constant state of bliss. As far as sex goes, I was in a constant tantric state, and I wasn't really thinking about the consequences of sex. I wasn't thinking about baby. I wasn't thinking about bringing another life into the world, right? I was just thinking about just how good it was going to feel and how I was going to enjoy this moment, as little as it may last, right? Just to have an orgasm. And I mean, on many levels, I don't beat myself up about that. I don't necessarily regret any of that. It was an experience. I feel like many people are deprived of such an experience, are definitely meant to feel extreme shame, right? But I noticed that I never drew the connection that I could really get pregnant from one of these sexual encounters. Or it was the opposite. I felt as though every one of these sexual encounters could result in me getting pregnant. I didn't understand ovulation. I didn't understand fertility and sexuality in that sense. I feel like there was definitely a disconnect, because it's like on one end, I wasn't thinking about having a baby. I wasn't trying to do this to have a baby. And on the other end, there was something in the back of my mind that was like, oh, you might get pregnant, and you probably don't really want a baby right now. To some degree, I really felt like I had no control of my body. I felt like I was just swept away by different emotions, and to some degree, it didn't even feel wrong. And I really felt somewhat ill-equipped. I really felt somewhat at the mercy of whether the sperm just wanted to connect or not. I didn't feel as though there was really anything I could do to curb that at the moment. I felt like it's another wonderful experience that I need to take advantage of right now, so that way I could feel good and I could just reward myself with this ultimate feeling that I couldn't get anywhere else. And so I wanted sex, and I wasn't thinking about wanting a baby. And like I mentioned, to some of that was me consciously thinking that I did not want a baby. But I feel as though a lot of that was like not really me, because without outside forces, outside information, outside education, teaching us that sex is wrong, and that the worst thing that is going to happen to you is that you're going to get pregnant, and that actually is a very terrible thing to happen, that it's going to destroy your life, it's going to ruin your life. I feel as though some of that kind of played into my whole disconnect between sex and baby, between my desire for sex and the responsibility that could come with that. In essence, this idea of wanting sex but not a baby had already been implanted in me, because on one end, somebody is telling you, what, if you have sex, you can get pregnant the very first time you have sex, and you're too young to have sex, and you're too young to be a parent. You cannot take care of yourself. You will not be able to take care of a child. And then on the other end, sex is there. You can have sex if you want to. There's really nothing that can really stop you if you are determined to. And once you have sex and you enjoy it, it can become a drug, and it can become a hell of a drug if you don't have any hobbies, if you don't have any projects that you're working on, if you are not engaged in anything else. Sex can literally take over your life. So I felt like at that time in my life, that is pretty much what had happened. And I felt like I was basically feeling the world through my sexuality, through sex. And it wasn't even a completely conscious sexuality where, now you have people who identify themselves as this, that, is the other, pansexual or whatever. It was just a very personal experience. It was kind of like me just traveling the world, and that sounds horrible, traveling the world. Of course, I was not going around the world having sex or anything like that, but it just felt like I was experiencing the world through sex, and sex was basically my roadmap to my sense of being, my personality, my sensuality, my direction. It was kind of like my roadmap in a weird way, right? I just feel as though the problem with that, the issue is that I had an infertile mindset. I did not want to have a baby, and I did not even think that having a baby was really going to be a possibility. I feared having a baby. I was concerned about possibly becoming pregnant, but I still never thought about what I would do, or like I never thought beyond that. It was just, okay, you might get pregnant. I don't know, whatever. It wasn't a real thing for me, because it just seemed like the world was set up to try to make sure that you didn't get pregnant, and in some cases it truly and it really is. So I wanted sex, I didn't want a baby. And it's funny how things work. I guess, obviously I never did have a baby during that time, but I feel as though my mindset at that time really kind of played into that, because who knows, if I did get pregnant, I probably would have had an abortion, right? And it probably would have been my choosing and my choice, my decision, not somebody else's, not somebody saying, oh, what are you going to do about that? Not somebody saying, not a parent or anything like that asking me, are you pregnant, and, freaking out or anything like that. With the mindset and the mentality that I had at that time, a pregnancy would have just really messed with my sense of navigating through the world. I say all this to say that is an infertile mindset that I had, right? And there are a lot of people that have these types of infertile mindset. They may not be identical to the one that I had, but a lot of you are probably living life right now with an infertile mindset. You might want a baby, right? But you might be doing things that are not conducive to having a baby. You might be doing harmful things, or things that have been proven or shown to be harmful to women trying to conceive, such as smoking, such as drinking coffee, such as consuming certain foods that are not healthy for you, such as, exerting yourself too much, maybe going to the gym too much, right? And maybe telling yourself, oh, you want a baby, you'll just keep trying. Your body you just need to keep trying, right? Not really drawing the connection between the infertile mindset that is already implanted in the back of your mind, in your subconscious mind, that you did not necessarily put there, but it was put there for you. Just as for me, subconsciously not wanting to have a baby was implanted in me, and it really went against my true nature. My true nature, obviously, I wanted to have a baby. I thought about babies when I was younger, but I feel like at a certain age in my life that wanting to have a baby just like wiped clean out of my mind, and that the mission now became just sex with no baby. And that's literally how I felt. And I felt like that is definitely an infertile mindset, right? That is because of the conditioning that, we receive as a child. I may have received a conditioning that you can have sex, just you better not get pregnant. I'm pretty sure that conditioning was there because, I come from obviously Caribbean background, Jamaican background, and that's a big thing is, don't get pregnant under your parents' roof. So that may have really played into my desire to want sex, just don't get caught, basically, is what that, how that manifested, just have sex. And of course you get caught by getting pregnant, right? So what other subconscious, programming have you received? What infertile glasses are you wearing? How you view the world? Do you view the world thinking that you can smoke cigarettes, do all type of drugs, and still get pregnant, and your baby be, that you can still get pregnant, period? Do you have the infertile mindset that says that, you can go to the gym 7 days a week for 2 hours, maybe twice a day, work off every fat, in your body, and that, you'll get pregnant when you want to? Do you have the infertile mindset that says you can eat whatever junk food that you want, that, you're a black woman, so black women are fertile. You're lucky to not be getting pregnant right now because you know that you're so fertile. If your man even looks at you, or if a man looks at you or anything like that, that you'll get pregnant. So I might as well eat this because in a minute I'm going to be pregnant and I'm going to put on so much weight and I won't be able to eat all this food anyways. So, we got these deep psychological subconscious programmings that that run deep in our body. It's like if we don't take the time to consciously sort this out and figure this out, not only can it control your life, take over your whole mind, it can possibly wipe out the fertile mindset that you had before all this. And I spoke about this before, that we have a fertile mindset, right? But through all the programming, conditioning, and everything that we receive throughout our life, you know, we put on some glasses and we can't see name baby. We can't see nothing that stops us from having a baby. If we think we want a baby, right? And that is like, it's very detrimental. So it's even a very toxic. It's a toxic mindset. It's a toxic mindset because it sets us up. It sets us up for failure. It sets us up for addiction and pain and hurt and confusion and repetitive cycles that just can hurt us in the long run. Sure, we can learn a lot of things from these experiences, but there are definitely healthier experiences than, trying to experience the world through orgasm. And of course, orgasm is a beautiful thing, and we should have orgasmic lives, but I think there's somewhat of a thin line between healthy sexual experiences and ones that are really not in our control. If you're not really in control, if the sex is controlling you and you're not necessarily controlling the sex. But there are people who have what you call casual relationships, right? And who are very conscious of what they're doing. They can probably say that they're experiencing the world sexually or through sex or through orgasm, but they're more in control. At my point, I probably wasn't really in the control that I would have wanted, and with the mindset to go along with that, it wasn't really that wholesome. There was a disconnect there, wanting sex, but not even fathoming what would happen if I got pregnant, or if I did. Like my thoughts about baby just stopped there. Like, okay, if I get pregnant, I might get pregnant, but and it wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna have an abortion, and it wasn't like I'm gonna have a baby and raise a baby or anything like that. It was just kind of like things just faded off into non-existence. Should I even think about that far, right? So I obviously see this infertile mindset right now, and I really hope that a lot of you can start to think about where your infertile mindsets may lie, because again, they're toxic, they are damaging. In a lot of cases, they result from a harmful sense of femininity, and for men, a harmful sense of masculinity. Because if you're a woman, you should know that obviously if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant, and that your whole life is going to basically change. I didn't know that then. I didn't know that my whole life could change. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't know, and if my life is dependent on my sexuality right now, how horny I feel, or if my life was dependent on that, what would pregnancy do to my whole just mind state in that sense? That would be a shock, right? So that's a harmful sense of femininity, for men. That's a lot of times why when a woman does get pregnant, he, says it's not his son or his daughter or his child or whatever, or asks her to have an abortion, or asks her what she's going to do about it, or just totally, completely just disappears off the face of the earth, because there's a harmful sense of responsibility, male or female, as far as these infertile mindsets go, right? And again, these infertile mindsets are very co-opted. They're very strategically taught to us in many cases, right? And is reminiscent of the Western mindset that we have, which is like the umbrella infertile mindset. It's like the umbrella mindset that everybody pretty much shares in the West, unconsciously, right? And so it's like, if you don't take the time to go back and think, when did I first start having these thoughts? Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? You're going to continue to live your life in this type of just weird, hectic type of damaging way that, it obviously can lead to infertility and so forth. When you have this type of mindset, although it may seem flexible, you may feel as though you are in control. You may feel as though you are calling the shots. You may feel as though, you're just doing this right now because, you're so fertile that, if somebody looks at you and touches you, you're going to get pregnant. So you might as well do this right now. And you think you're in control of that, right? But these mindsets are very rigid. They are very planted. They're very rooted in us. And, a lot of that is done through repetition. A lot of that is done through social validation. So hearing other people or seeing how other people react, peer pressure, television, trying to live your life in other people's shoes who may be doing have a similar idea or mindsets. Obviously actors, obviously all strategic, obviously all planned out, all right, to some degree. Just this whole influence, right, that has been put on you. So it can be very rigid. It can be a very rigid mindset that you have when you have a Western mindset or an infertile mindset, because you think you're in control, but you don't know that your flexibility only goes so far. Your control of this mindset only goes so far. You can't deviate from the box, right? And the box is set up that if you even get close to the walls of the box, other people around the edge of the box start to notice and call you out. Oh, you're trying to eat healthy. Look at so-and-so. She thinks she's all that. Oh, he not trying to hit it. Look at so-and-so. He thinks he better than us. And people can really turn on you. Oh, you don't want to, you don't want to chill no more. What happened? You found a new man, or you found a new woman, you think you all that, and start even to insult you, or you're a B, or, you're this or you're that, so just when you think that you have that control where you can start to make the decisions is when you really start to see, oh my gosh, I've been in this tight little box this whole time, and these people who I thought were non-involved, right, in my decision-making process, these people who I thought were objective, they were really a very subjective part in my consciousness and my decision-making process. They were really a very key, prominent figure. They held the matrix in place, right? So this infertile mindset, we don't see just how deep it goes until you really take the time to do the self-work that is required to figure out who you are and where your infertile mindsets lie. So I'm going to be doing a workshop in a few weeks on July 14th. I want you all to go to the link in my bio or description and click on the link, join my newsletter, right, so you can get updates, and also, sign up for the workshop there, right, where I will help you to go and figure out what some of these infertile mindsets may be. And this is for brothers and sisters, male, female, men, woman, right? And it's not just for people suffering from infertility or dealing with infertility, or some people may be even happy with their infertility status. I personally feel as though if your organs and so forth are intact, there really is no such thing as infertility. You may just be out of balance and so forth. And of course, you can have a mental imbalance. Things that you're doing and the times that you're doing it could really play a role in your fertility. So you may physically be okay, but if you're just having sex at the wrong time per se, then obviously you're not going to get pregnant. So I'm having this workshop to help you again to figure out some of these infertile mindsets, figure out what they are and what you can do about it, how you can consciously take the time to go into your subconscious mind, right, and figure out what your programming may be, right? So I hope you all join that workshop. I hope you all like this video, subscribe, right, and I will see you there. Peace.